Hello everybody, my name is Angel. Welcome to Lupus Fitness 333. This is another philosophical talk and it's called Building Self-Esteem. Now I made a short exploring the three topics, the three pillars on building self-esteem. So I'm going to touch them really quickly here and move on to the details, okay? The first one is going to be discipline. The second one is going to be self-talk. And the last one is environment. The most important one is these two: self-talk and discipline and environment. Okay, all right, the first one, environment, is you cannot escape that. You cannot use it as an escape. Far too many people that I've met use environments as an escape, kind of like when you browse through your phone and you're on Instagram or on TikTok or YouTube or whatever is it that you stream, whether it's watching movies or I don't know. But most people use it as escapism. That's not what you're supposed to do with your environment. Your environment should facilitate your goals, your journey towards your goals, all right? Meaning, like, wherever you go, even in your own home, there should be ease of access to the things that help you move or progress towards what your life goals are, whether they're financial, whether they're lifestyle, whether they're relationship or familial. You have to have your environment help you ease further into that. If you create an environment where every one of your goals requires work just to start it up, that's a bad environment, okay? You don't want it like that. You want it to be readily available for you to jump into it, regardless of your state of being, okay? Next, esteem means self-respect and admiration, okay? Well, respect and admiration. But as far as self-esteem, obviously you have to apply that. It's self-respect and self-admiration. The best way you could do that is obviously taking care of your body. Mentally, physically, spiritually. Okay? These are important. You have to take care of those things because that shows to the world, not just to yourself, that you have self-respect and admiration, and you have a high self-esteem. You understand? That reflects off of you. Obviously, in the beginning, it's not going to show, but the further and further you discipline yourself, eventually people will notice. They'll point it out. They'll start asking you questions. They'll start complimenting you. They'll start giving you more respect than usual. They'll go out of their way, okay? That's your first sign that you're on the right path. Do not aim for that because, again, compliments and insults are all within the other person, not really for you. Don't take them too highly. Don't take them too lightly. Just take them as, like, you look at a flower and you're like, oh, that flower looks nice. You move on with your life, okay? All right, next, self-talk, all right? Self-talk is just as important as the environment, like I mentioned earlier. Self-talk is basically, how do I say it? We mentioned it in the last videos. You are with yourself 24/7. That's the only person that's ever going to truly know you, for you, the good, the bad, the ugly, okay? And that person has to be spoken to with the utmost respect and love. Why? Because that person, whether you associate with that person or not, which you should, is the one that ultimately is in your body as well. Okay? If you treat that person like garbage or you constantly talking shit to that person, well, think about it like this. If you're working for someone, right, and your boss is always constantly talking shit to you and saying you're not amounting to nothing, or you're, a piece of whatever, you're not going to want to work for that person. At least you're not going to work hard. You're going to do the bare minimum, even if You want to do the bare minimum. You'll probably do it lazily. You'll probably not do it with such enthusiasm. So you are your own boss and your own employee. That relationship should be the best in the world. Okay? So treat it like that. You should treat yourself, how do I say, as someone that will always love you, regardless of what you do. Because they're your, how do I explain it? They're your ride or die. Whether they like it or not, they're there. They're there. In your bad times, in your good times, and even in the times where you probably made a mistake and they're like, fuck it, we're gonna have to figure this shit out. All right? So you have to treat this person with great love, great care, and great respect. All right? All right. Now remember, all of these create not only high self-esteem, but they build confidence in yourself. And confidence is nothing but your own self-worth, knowing your own worth. All right? And don't misconstrue that with ego or anything like that. Think of it, base your confidence off of your, how do I say, your disciplined actions. All right? Too many people consider knowing their worth with what they believe they're entitled to or what they believe they deserve. That's not what it is, man. It is what you're capable of doing on a consistent basis. Rain, hail, hell, or snow, whatever. All right, whatever it is, whether you feel like crap, whether you're tired, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether it's raining, whether there's a flood, you're able to consistently and effectively do your thing all the time, every time. That's where your confidence should come from. All right, from your ability to perform consistently. Okay, not what you think you can achieve or what you think you deserve, because then that's you inflating your ego and you, how do I say it, living in la la land. All right, it's good to have goals of where you believe you deserve something or you're willing to work for it, but don't base your personality or your confidence on something that's not yours. You understand? That doesn't make sense. It's like saying you're gonna go to a car dealership and you're saying you want a Lamborghini or a Porsche, and they're like, cool, do you have the money? And you're gonna tell the person like, no, but in the future I'm gonna be a wealthy millionaire. And they're gonna look at you like, what? That's not gonna work. They're not gonna give you the car. So that's basically the same thing. You don't want to do that. You want to base it off of what you can do all the time, because that's your currency as far as your confidence. You don't want to cash a check you can't cash, all right? Especially if you don't have the money in the bank. All right. So, to close it, your discipline is a must. Everybody should have it. As far as people with our condition, people with no condition who are normal, that's always a plus, all right? But as far as people with our conditions or conditions that are much more specific, discipline comes with the territory of having these conditions. Why? Because medications, doctor visits, all of that requires you to be consistent, and it will force you to be disciplined. Why? Because if you miss those appointments or you miss those medications, that's not going to bode well for you. Same thing with people who might have conditions similar to mine, like lupus. If you mess up or you're not consistent with taking care of that part of your life or that condition, again, with lupus, it's unforgiving. You'll pay for it, and you'll pay dearly for it, and it's not fun. It might set you back a few weeks. Not good. So it's forcing you to be disciplined, and obviously you want to discipline yourself out of your own volition and not out of necessity. Okay, because it's better to do it out of your own volition, so when it is necessary for you to go through it, it won't be as difficult, okay? The saying is you should train twice to 3 times as harder than the actual scenario. This practice should always be twice as hard than the actual scenario, or how fighters or boxers say training should be harder than the actual fight, right? Because then the fight is not that serious, because you're capable. You've done worse. You've conquered stronger. You always train for the enemy that might be stronger than the opponent you're facing. That's the proper way to train. That's the proper way to stay disciplined. Lastly, the self-talk. If you do it consistently and you start to change the way you speak to yourself and start being more kinder with yourself, more loving, more respectful, then you'll start feeling more capable of being in relationships with other people, because you yourself have a proper relationship with yourself, one that's healthy, respectful, and loving. All right. And that, of course, because of the practice, you also know how to do with other people outside of yourself, because you do it with yourself all the time. All right. Again, life is about practice. The more you practice something, the more you'll get better at it, because eventually the work will tell you the secrets. Obviously, there are no secrets, but what I mean is through the work, you learn tricks and tricks of the trade, because the work eventually will talk to you. And that's what people mean as in trade secrets, or secrets of the master. It's just you constantly practicing it, and you're learning better ways to be more efficient and effective, because maybe you're crunched on time, but you still want to do this. So you're like, how can I do this but faster and still have the same result or better? Okay. It's great for your motivation, and it's great for your mental health. So that's why that's important. And again, back to environment. Environment should reflect what you want to be. And again, not to use it as an escape. Do not use it as a form of escapism, because that will end up really bad. I have noticed that people who do that sometimes, not everybody, not always men, not always women, but both genders are capable of sometimes, how do I say this so that doesn't sound bad? Sometimes people find comfort in their environment. Let's say they go to a gym, or they go to like some kind of hobby place that they go to, and they end up trying to find someone there. Don't do that. I've seen it too many times, where I've talked to people and I encourage them to go somewhere, and later on I hear they're in a relationship, and I'm like, well, what are you doing? No, don't do that. Why? Because you're just in the beginning stages, all right? Every time you're in the beginning of a stage of where you're trying to improve your life, you may accidentally fall into this, how do I call it? The way I say it is you do not shit where you eat. And if you're going somewhere to better yourself, if you're going to an environment that's bettering yourself, you don't go there with the intention or with this like comfortability, like, oh, this person talks to me or like listens to me, and then you believe you're developing feelings for them, but in reality you're not. You're just in an environment that helps you relax more, and so therefore you believe that you're falling for somebody, when in reality it's more of you're coming off of the high of you're starting your journey, and you might you might confuse that with already being there. And so therefore you start accepting more than what you should, instead of staying, again, disciplined in the practice of bettering yourself. So I've seen it too many times. I've seen it with women. I've seen it with some guys, and I always discourage it, because I think to myself, like, no, that's not what you're there for, man. You're just going to mess it up, because they're not at the stage to properly handle that situation. Especially when they're still fragile from dealing with their condition. You understand? And so they believe because whoever they're talking to makes them feel good in that environment, that's a good thing, that's like part of the path. No, don't do that, because then if you're not mature enough emotionally to deal with the fallout of that. Like, let's say it doesn't work out. Now you're going to associate the environment with that person and that relationship that failed. Now you're going to want to come there less. And then that journey may stop right there because of this relationship that didn't work out. And I how do I say that? I don't want to say that I hate it, but I don't like it when people say that to me. When they say that they found somebody, like let's say a person goes to a rock climbing place, sorry, excuse me, and they start saying like, oh, this guy started talking to me, and I'm like, all right, and then they start saying stuff, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. You're gonna ruin it for yourself. That's not what you're there for. Don't get sidetracked, okay? Not to be religious or not to throw in bullshit, but sometimes, what is it? Mike Tyson said it. When you're favored by God, you're also favored by the devil. And sometimes they'll throw stuff at you to distract you from the path that you should be on. Remember, discipline is not a pleasant journey. It's not a pleasant path because the journey is very difficult, but the reward is forever giving. You understand? But you have to continue the path. Sometimes you'll be distracted on a side path that will completely derail you. And life will do that to test your discipline. So keep that in mind, guys. Do not use your environment as escapism or as a means to get something that you believe is yours because it's in that environment. It'll ruin your path, all right? Just stay consistent, stay disciplined, stay on the path of building yourself, because that's crucial, all right? Okay, with that, thank you. My name is Angel. This is Lupus Fitness 333. Please like and subscribe. Give this video at least maybe 50 likes and send this video to whoever you believe will benefit from this. Thank you again. Have a nice day.